How do we know when to follow our creative impulse, when to pause? Also, how can we shift our anger into passion? These are questions we'll be looking at this week on today's episode of Our Waking Dream. Welcome. I am your host, Coco Swanson. I'm so glad you're here. Each week, I go over one basic astrology theme that's moving through the week or the season. And I do it ideally in a way that if you're new to astrology, you'll understand. And then the second half of this show each week, I go over different practices, different questions, inquiries to bring into the week, and somatic practices that help you move with the flow of energy. So thanks for being here. Also, brewing in my world are lots of new opportunities. I have a solutions lab, a free hour-long live problem solving. I have a knack for reading energy and understanding patterns and simple things that we can do to transform them. And so live, you can come for free every other Sunday. The next one's on the 19th. And then I have a leadership studio that I'm stoked about. That's where we integrate somatics, meditation, astrology regularly in small group live with a whole bunch of other supplementary material. And that's new and starting. I'm obviously excited about it. It's on my site, cocoswanson.com. So enough about that. Let's dive in. We are prepping in this class today. We're prepping for the new moon on the 17th. It's an Aries new moon. And why I'm focusing on that today is because it's a big new moon. It's conjunct Chiron, which is the wounded healer. So we have the sun, which illuminates, the moon, which is how we're emotionally fed, and so the sun, if we think it's how we radiate, where the moon is how we are when we're internal. And those two are right next to, in astrology, that's called a conjunction. They're right next to Chiron. Chiron's been in Aries for a good minute here. It's Chiron represents the wounded healer. So it's the aspect of us that we have to go through the healing in order to become wiser in whatever it is that it's illuminating. So what's tricky is when we have the sun, the moon, and Chiron all together, Chiron will point to that which is wounded in the sun and the moon in where it's at. So that's Aries. Also, because we have the sun and the moon and Chiron at the later degrees of Aries. And at the same time, we have Neptune, Mercury, Mars, and Saturn. This is a big deal in astrology terms. This is like the biggest Aries season I've ever seen. And it merits a fully different approach. If we're in that much Aries, especially if we get a new moon conjunct Chiron. So any astrologer you'll talk to will have their slightly different view of it. And so when I express mine, it's truly that, just my view and what's coming through my lens. And what comes through my lens with this is the wounded warrior in us. This is how can I direct my energy without burning out? Because if you think Aries is this quick burst of life, of light, it can be quite forceful if one's not ready for it. And so a question would be like, where am I forcing my energy? Where do I need to sustain my energy? Aries is the sign of war. So right away, it's allowing for you during this time to know that there probably will be discordant energy. And so if there's war energy around a planet and we live on the planet, how can we contribute to peace, to play. These are all play, passion, fun, to lead something that's very pure to your heart, very true to your desire. So in a time, new moon, with all this aspect, all the aspects pointing right at Aries, at the beginning, at the end of Aries, we need so much room for trial and error. On the 17th and up to the 17th, it's a perfect time to focus on everything Aries related and making sure that you're both in touch with your passion and your purpose and your play and your leadership and your trailblazing, and that we're really moving through anger in a way that we want to, because Aries can be really divisive in that it's the planet, it represents war and forthright and power, and that first it's the trailblazing, but the trailblazer might have to burn things down. So we want to create a soft space for Aries learning curve during this time. What's that even mean? How do we create soft spaces for Aries learning curves? Well, it's to look at how you are in relation to fire, to passion, to anger, to initiating, to following your dreams. Where, in what areas of your life are you following your dreams? In what areas of your life do you feel stifled? In what areas of your life do you feel wounded in or stuck in conflict? These are Aries questions. I mean, let's keep them coming. Okay, so if you're fired up right now, it's a great time to utilize that energy. So another basic question is, what are you fired up about? Because your anger can direct you to your passion. Or what's holding you back, or who is holding you back, or what do you perceive is holding you back? And it could be, I don't have enough, and we fill it in. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough cash. I don't have enough friends. I don't have enough likes, or whatever it is that is stopping you from following through with it's your innate, what you innately love. It's that the Aries is, in any moment we could say, oh yeah, I love that. That's the Aries, or oh no, I don't like that. That Aries impulsive, reactive passion. On that note, how are you with your reactivity? Because this is the piece, is how much do we love passion, play, initiation, but it tips over into reactivity in a quick, feisty reaction. That's where Aries can be divisive. It can burn things down. So just looking at where you are with this, because we all are at a different place in the journey with each aspect of our personality. We want to be able to guide our passion, guide our intention, our initiatory energy. And we can do so through awareness. However, it takes slowing down. And at this new moon, that might feel kind of hard because it's a fast motion new moon in Aries. Yet when we give ourselves that spaciousness to slow down even one breath, that allows the reactivity to start to wash through and for the passion to start to centralize. That's real important right now, is to really get to know your relationship to passion, to play, to courage, to initiation, and to anger, to fire, to war. Just explore that right now, especially between this window now on the 12th and between now and the 17th. Because I found the more that I work the metaphor of the moon, the lunation, the more I grow and like wisen, and the more fantastic things that happen to me. It seems to snowball too. The more we work on ourselves and really listening to the subtleties of what's going on within the astrological timing, the more we power up. After inquiry, practice number 2 I suggest today is all around anger and how to move the anger in a way that allows for you to redirect your passion as opposed to acting on your anger. And I suggest, first, number 1 is noticing when you're angry and stopping yourself from writing or calling the person back or reacting. It's when we put our anger into action, that's when it can start to be divisive. However, if I notice I'm angry and I give myself 1 to 5 minutes, say, we'll put a cap on it, of growling, literally. With somatic work, the less seriously you take yourself, the more impactful the work is. If you feel angry and you want to move the energy out, take yourself less seriously, take yourself out of the situation, and spend as much time as you need. Start with 1 minute of growling. Think of a dog, think of an animal. We are mammals. And if I need to move anger, I might as well allow my body to move it. Because as I growl, it's that sounding of how I would sound if I was a mammal not caring about how I sounded and wanting to move the emotion of anger. And how does that feel for you? The word that comes through is growling, but maybe for you it's like one big yell or rawr. I mean, who knows? But it's to sound the anger, because once we start moving the anger, we have freedom to fantasize and to imagine whatever else we'd want to happen instead of what we're angry about. I'm going to put this in action with a global example, or I'll at least say, global. I am angry and sad that we're still at war at this time in our evolution. Well, I can and move my anger. I can move it and move it until I have the freedom to imagine, because I'm not as angry anymore, I can imagine what peace feels like. Or how's this? What it feels like when we just realized war is over for good on the planet. You can apply this to your work. So say you're angry at somebody at work. You take space, sound. How does your body naturally want to move the feeling of anger? After you do that, all you do is recheck in with the situation and feed it your dreams, feed it possibility, feed it outcomes that might not be based in probability, that would need a series of 5,000 miracles. Dream that one. We want to be planting that seed, those seeds, miracles, not the probability of war in our lives, in our world. Okay? Number 3 is to get to know what it feels like when you're hesitating, courageous, or if you're initiating your passion. Like, what does it feel like? And where are the stoppers in your body? Because the catch with Aries is it's an exceptionally vulnerable sign. Just that first burst. So there's no protection around it, unless it's this fierce protection usually. So if we want to nurture our impulse to create as creator beings, what I suggest is a micro break to interrupt the pattern, whatever pattern you're naturally in a moment that you're feeling passionate. So you're feeling passionate and fired up, angry, move it out. If you're feeling fired up and passionate about some project or some idea, at that point, check in with your body and imagine what it would feel like if you took the next step, whatever that step is. If you were to take the next step on whatever it is that you feel most passionate about in your life, imagine that and then notice what it feels like in your body. Oftentimes, if we imagine courageously taking the next step to follow our passion, oftentimes something will constrict in our system. And that points to the point of fear that needs love. It doesn't mean to not do that. It might be a healthy fear saying, not now, or maybe something different. But what if it's a wounded part of you that actually just needs comforting in order to release, in order for you to actualize what you're passionate about? So the micro break is in a moment that you're feeling either fired up, that can be the anger, or just I'm really feeling passionate, that you pause and get to know your own internal operating system of what it feels like to just primarily imagine acting on that passion and seeing what it does to your body. Once you notice that, your hands, if you imagine them just little love gloves, unconditional love coming out of your hands, and place your hands wherever on your body that felt tight or icky or just off when you imagined acting on your passion. And then you just say, I'm open to change. I release my fears. It's as simple as that. Because we're getting to know what it feels like in our system to say yes to your passion, to say yes to your desires, to say yes to initiate them. But we're doing so through a form, all of our human forms. We've had our feelings hurt at some point or another. We've had some point where we fell flat. And this falling flat is within a culture that doesn't have room for error as much as I believe it could benefit from. And any Aries needs. We need room for error. And so you're getting to know, just through imagining initiating, the subtle layers of fear that you might still be carrying that are ready for love, that are ready for, I soften and I'm open to heal. And it's as simple as shifting the intention and adding a little love. And maybe that's all it will take. But at least if you need to do more healing with whatever the fear is, this micro break will point you in the direction, whatever aspect you're holding in your body, you'll get to know more. That's it. That's our waking dream for April 12th. I'm so glad you're here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. As always, please message me. Let me, like, subscribe, all that. Please help. Thank you in advance for helping this get its own wings through sharing and rating and all that. Have a great week. Until next time. Bye.
Thank you for being a part of our community here at Our Waking Dream. Please make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Fill my cup and let it overflow. Let it overflow with love.